may not be working in 100% of the questions. In the topmost panel of any MSR questions, there are headers about what the context of the next tab of that MSR is. So, and now that we have questions in front of us. So usually whatever the first question of MSR would most probably be from the first tab itself. So you don't need to read the all three of those tabs all together and spend a lot of time, like about 4 or 5 minutes there, just reading the any story there. So Sigma X mocks from the e-GMAT more closer than the official mocks. Like because in the official marks, official MBA.com marks, I consistently scored around 715, 725, 735 as well in one of the mocks. But in the e-GMAT mocks, so I was not getting that much score. I was finding them tougher. So in the real exam day also, I faced the similar level of difficulty in the DI section, and I got whatever score I did.
Hello everyone and welcome to another debrief session with me. Today I have with me Madhav, who recently scored a 665 with a Q87, a V83 and a DI 79. Madhav's journey was full of ups and downs, and he's here to discuss his journey in detail with all of you here so that his decision making and all the learnings that he discovered through his journey could be of some help to all you GMAT aspirants with big goals looking forward towards to learning from this interview. So Madhav, thank you so much for taking out some time and being with us here. How are you doing?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good too. Thank you so much. So Madhav, you scored a 665, and a lot of improvement came in quant, right? So we'll quickly delve into your quant journey, right? So you initially were starting at a Q82, which is not a really bad place to be in, but it does indicate that there were a lot of gaps and a lot of scope for improvement. My question to you is, what were the initial challenges that you had identified in your quant section or in your quant abilities?
Initially, when I was preparing for GMAT, so I didn't have any structured approach. Like, how many questions do I have to get right? How many questions do if I get right? What can be the range of percentage QA score I could get? What could be the range of percentile I could get? So because I was practicing and I was getting an overall score in my initial attempt. So when I started with e-GMAT, so they kind of had a very structured approach. They have a great interface. I must like everyone, like whosoever practices with e-GMAT, the interface is exceptional. So the interface, every time I practice on their interface, they used to tell me that I have got these much questions correct. So this is the range of percentile and the range of QA score I would be getting. So that is something that I really kept in my mind whenever I was practicing, that this is the range of questions that I have to get correct. And also when in my entire process, I used to get some parts of my QA ability always correct, and some I was lacking. Like sometimes I did make mistakes. So they always used to tell me that these are my weaker sections. So I kind of more gave more focus towards that. Like for example, in my permutation and combination, I was taking too much of time to solve those questions. Or a distance speed question, I used to take a lot of time on those questions. So they always kind of made a mark on those questions that these are the type of questions I'm taking a lot of time on. So even if in my main exam, so I kept in my mind that these are the questions in my exam that I tend to take a lot of time. So I just need to keep in my mind that I have to make a time for these questions and solve other questions as quickly as possible and get the required number of questions correct to get a particular result that I have to. So this is something that really helped me, not more from the learning side, but more from the structured approach side that I have. So yeah, that is something I really was commendable and improved my performance this time around.
Understood. Madhav, let's delve a little deeper here. You mentioned that you were able to really figure out from the portal that okay, these are the topics where my accuracy is a little low. These are the topics where I'm taking a lot of time. That's basically a part of data analytics that you're talking about. on the portal.
Right.
So can you just help understand that when you identified that you were taking some extra time on, let's say, PNC, distance and field, how did e-GMAT quant section and the course help you fix your process in a way that the time came down on these specific topics?
So once that I figured out that I'm taking this much amount of time in these questions, so I went to the module section. So there was always a to and fro conversation with whosoever was my mentor was. In this case, like Dhruv was my mentor in my entire journey. So I kind of informed him these are the kind of things I'm facing challenges with. So he recommended me to go through the module of e-GMAT, which is a specifically section module, which like kind of gives us a training sessions on how to approach e-GMAT, like these questions. So I went through, like I didn't go through entire modules from other sections. So only the sections I was really facing my challenges in. So I kind of practiced those questions. I tried to give more and more practice on that question. And there was a neuron which I specifically practiced the set of questions I was lacking a lot in. So I practiced more and more questions. So there was a long set of questions that e-GMAT provides. So I practiced them. I tried to bring my accuracy to the level I wanted and tried to take as less time as possible. So yeah, that is something
Right,
that I worked upon.
right. As far as I remember, Madhav, we I think took an approach where we were first taking some cementing quizzes on Scholarium. Then we
Yeah,
would
yeah,
identify your weaker areas through data analytics, and then
yeah.
we would go to just those specific things, right? So that was, I think, that saved you a
Yeah.
lot of time, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Because I just wanted to strengthen my weaker portions and the portions I'm taking a lot of time on, and not just to regularly and just do a redundant process to just do the same parts I'm very accurate and efficient in. So yeah, that did of kind of saved me a lot of time in AI thoughts.
Cool. Right. Apart from that, this the pace engine.
Thing if I am taking too much time, so should approach towards solving your quant exam.
You spoke about Neuron, which I remember was newly introduced when we were preparing, right? So Neuron was a set of official GAT questions,
And
which was there on the portal itself. Uh,
yeah,
how did so? What was Neuron's role? So look, we already had Scholarium, which had more than
yeah,
enough questions.
yeah.
We also added Neuron, right, out there to help you guys have more target practice on certain question types, which were your issues. What was Neuron's role in helping you fill gaps that you had identified using Scholarium and data analytics there?
Yeah, so I told you that this in the con section, I found a couple of topics that were like a little bit of more challenging to me. But now that I found that these are the questions that are challenging to me, what can I do about it? So in the Scholarium, we have cementing quizzes that are more of around uh, a mixed bag of questions. But what happens in Neuron is I can go and practice official GMAT questions or official mock questions. So that is what helped me to target those specific areas that I could get more improvement in. I can track my previous exams or previous attempts of these Neuron mocks, and also the great thing I find about Neuron portal is, which is in Scholarium as well, that I can practice my incorrect questions again as well. So now, if I am getting some kind of question incorrect, I can go again before, like what I did a week before my exam, after all my mocks were done. I practiced my incorrect questions again. And I tried to bring the accuracy down, or not accuracy down, the time the questions down and the accuracy of them up again. So that is something that really helped me to target specifically the weaker areas that I had in my initial preparation, and then work them upon and increase my score eventually on those sections.
Understood. Understood. Now that we have discussed a lot about quant, let's maybe discuss a bit about verbal as well, because you scored a V83 there as well. You improved a bit there as well, right? So what were your
Yeah.
challenges that you identified initially with the verbal section?
Again, with the verbal section, as happened with me in the con section, I didn't know what was the range of questions I need to get correct. What is the range of questions I need to get in RC, what is the range of question, what is the approach I should take. I was practicing very vaguely in my initial practice. I was just trying to get as much questions as I can get correct without knowing what is the actual implications of my incorrect questions or my correct questions. So that is something I was really struggling with. And in my previous attempt as well, verbal is the section I scored the least in. So I was really more focused on how to improve my verbal section. So again, Scholaranium and most of the mocks, most of the practice, and most of the time I did devote to the verbal section this time as well, this time around, and that did leap some fruits. So I started practicing my initial attempts, and even when I started initial mocks with you as well, I wasn't doing that great. So I kept on a lot of messages. Most of our mails were regarding the verbal section only. Like, do I am not uh, getting to understand where I'm getting it wrong? What should I do? So then I practice an entire module section of verbal. So like what you recommended is to practice an entire section of verbal where I have to do the CR questions for strength and weaken, evaluate, anything that comes under the CR part. I did practice them. I practiced them again and again. Then gave practice quizzes on neuron before jumping onto the. So what I did in my initial attempt, I just gave only the sectional mocks. I gave a lot of sectional mocks. I didn't practice on certain, like I didn't do practice that structurally that I to make a certain part of the verbal section uh, structurally strong, and then move towards the next part, and then move to the next part, and then give the sectional all in once. So here it's GMAT structured, e-GMAT. It's a structured process where first we need to strengthen our strengthen question part, then the weaken questions part, then the evaluate part, then the paradox questions. So that really helped me to structurally understand what are my shortcomings, to work upon them, to learn them, and then give a mock test once and then for all when I have kind of perfected and strengthened all of my abilities in the all of my subsections of that are involved in the CR questions or maybe the RC questions. So yeah.
So, now what were you doing wrong previously in these questions? What was wrong in your approach, and then what changed?
So yeah, so I was taking to let's say there's a boldface question. So that I was like major. I just left them, like I just take them, guess them, and got and most of the time I got them wrong because I just felt I can't do it right. So then what I saw e-GMAT's like e-GMAT's approach towards it to find a certain conclusion and then base your entire question on that conclusion. That so to get me an approach on how to get a questions right. Initially, I was just doing it on my intuition. Like, okay, this should be the thing. This should be the thing. There wasn't any strategy towards any questions that I was solving. But at eGMAT, I got a lot of strategic point in how to solve questions and how to strategize and how to make a structured approach towards solving any question that comes along the way. So, like there was a structured approach in the boldface questions. Similarly, there was a structured approach for a strengthen or weaken question where we have to think about preconditions before solving any question. So, to strategize how to solve each and every question. So, that was something that I wasn't doing before. So, now that I've practiced around 500 questions before giving mock, so it just I had a inbuilt information in me that if this question appears, this is something I have to do. If there's a boldface question, I have to take down the conclusion, then find out how the boldface lines vary like go along with that conclusion. Or if it's a strengthened question, how can I find the preconditions of now that I have these preconditions in mind? As soon as I find an option close to that precondition, I will just go ahead and solve that
Okay.
question, and that kind of saves time, gets you more accuracy, and in turn you get a desired score.
Yeah, I was just going through some data analytics there as well. For CR, your improvement in CR across certain areas. Let me just share my screen. So let's go to skill
Yeah,
data.
it's visible now.
Yeah. So this is inference. Your initial accuracy in inference hard questions was only 60%. which went on to 86% by the end of the journey. The time initially was 2 minutes and 18 seconds average time to solve the inference question, which came down to literally 1 minute and 54 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Then let's talk
Yeah.
about your strengthen and evaluate. So here again, your accuracy in hard questions was 58. By the time you finish, it was around 71%. The time also came down significantly, right? And then again on the paradox and
Yeah.
miscellaneous and logically completes, there was tremendous improvement here from a 63% accuracy to 86% in hard questions. And the time also went down from, time stayed consistent, but I think your accuracy improved, right?
Accuracy improved. Yeah. Yeah, 2 minutes
Yeah.
is the average time like we take for any question. Yeah. So, yeah.
Right. But the same 2 minutes earlier was producing just around 50%
Yeah.
accuracy, was in the end producing close to 90% accuracy. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the structured approach that you learned really helped you.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely.
you did mention about sectional marks a couple of times. Sectional marks are not usually offered by most prep courses, but e-GMAT does it. How do you think do these sectional marks help you prepare or get better in a particular section? What role do they play?
Yeah. So I was doing my initial preparation with some other course as well. So, but what was the problem in that is I was getting how many questions I was getting correct, how many questions I wasn't getting correct. So this was the only analysis I was getting post my attempt. But what in e-GMAT I got is, so this is the exact, like if I scored, let's say I got 6 questions in verbal incorrect. So around V83 or V84 would be the score I would be getting. So like you kind of start getting a fair idea about what your attempts look like, so it's always in your back of your mind. So now that if I am weaker in subsection, so I can afford to lose this much time or this much amount of questions, but still that would be the target score I would be getting. So to get the structured idea about how much I could score, how much questions I could correct, I need to get correct to get a desired score. That was something that really helped me. So the exact GMAT portal, MBA.com portal, and the e-GMAT portal, where it tells us that if these are this is my score, this is my score, this would be my percentile. That was very helpful. And apart from that, one thing that I found really helpful was when I started doing analysis. So let's suppose I have given a mock exam. So then now that I open my questions and do an analysis, so what e-GMAT has done is, so it must have heard of applicants in the past. So it gives a summary of how many people have got these kind of questions correct previously. And so if let's say you have selected an option A and it's the correct option, and only 19% of people mark that question as correct. So that in itself is a great confidence booster for someone who is like struggling in a section. That itself gives you a clarity that okay, you are doing something right now. This is something that most of the people are struggling with, but you have overcome this problem and you are and I'm not saying it doesn't way the other way around. Sometimes it did happen as well. Sometimes 80% people got a question correct, but I was getting that approach wrong. But yeah, that did happen. But mostly these kind of things start more than the negative part. They play more of a positive part. Okay, so these much people are getting it correct. So I am in very much in line with the preparation that I was supposed to do, and I'm still trying to do. So yeah, these things kind of help as well. So that is something more of what sectional mocks do and what the e-GMAT interface helps us to understand as well.
Understood. Understood. Thanks for that. Let's discuss a bit about data insights, which I think was a strength, but you kind of maybe underperformed on the day, which can happen to anybody. And that's fine. But what really uh, excites me right now to discuss is that while going through your score report, we saw that you answered all your MSRs correct, which is rare. People are usually right that many students dread, many students fear. Uh, what was your strategy or what did you learn on the course with respect to MSR that really helped you go and do well on the test with respect to MSR?
Yeah, again, so it was about the e-GMAT portal only. So initially, like when I was practicing earlier, attempting my mocks and attempting my sectionals earlier, so I was just trying to give my exam and like then post my mock exam. I tried of checking out what were my mistakes. I used to get a detailed if these are my questions incorrect, these were my questions correct. But that was up to it. Whenever I gave my next exam, there was no previous record of what how did my previous exam go and what was the areas that I was lacking in my previous exam and what am I lacking in the current exam. So what e-GMAT helped me is to figure out that these are the sections that I'm constantly lacking in, and I should work on this. So I figured out that MSR part is something that I'm currently lacking, not getting 100% accuracy, and getting a MSR is critically important. 100% correct is critically important because it takes a lot of time in your exam, and if you're giving so much time to a particular set of questions, you do need to get them all of them correct, three or four, whatever they come up in the exam. So I really wanted to get that part correct. So I think we had a conversation about that as well, that I'm not getting MSR questions correct. So I was kind of I had a varied performances. So it's sometimes I got only one question correct, sometimes I got all questions correct. So I was not getting consistent in my MSR performances. So I was getting the numerical MSR questions correct, but wherever it was a logical thinking or maybe a more of a conversational MSR, I was not getting it correct. So you kind of told me to go through these modules and then we should practice this MSR questions. Like there's a structured approach towards each MSR question. So I was initially what I was doing. So there is a always in any MSR question, there is a key word that we do tend to miss. So, like e-GMAT again and again, whatever mistakes I were missing in their explanation of the answers. So they highlighted me that this was a key part that you may have missed. So you are getting these questions incorrect. So I kind of started reading the MSR questions more in a more focused manner, so that I gathered as much as information I could get in my first go, and then start attempting questions. So like I kind of tried and tested a lot with them, and the exam day it did reap results, and I got all of them correct.
Right,
Though I did not. Yeah.
right, right. So, Madhav, I want to dig a little deeper. What was that you learned on the modules about MSR that really helped? Because that is still not really clear, and people watching this would really benefit if you can maybe share some strategies about how would you go about, let's say there's an MSR passage, what you be looking at, what you would be your strategy to go through, because it's a lengthy question. You need to be smart. If you read everything like you're reading a normal passage, then even 10 minutes won't suffice. So what was that strategy that you learned and applied?
The one strategy, the key strategy that I learned, so it may not be working in 100% of the questions, but so in the topmost panel of any MSR questions, there are heads about what the context of the next uh, tab of that MSR is. So, and now that we have questions in front of us. So usually whatever the first question of MSR would most probably be from the first tab itself. So you don't need to read the all three of those tabs all together and spend a lot of time, like about 4 or 5 minutes there, just reading those questions, because then eventually you would have to read them again, because a lot of by the time you reach the second or third MSR questions, the information starts connected. So we start getting two or three information from two or three tabs. We have to gather the information from those two or three tabs and then solve one single question. So it kind of starts. You do need to read those tabs again and again. So you have to be smart about it. So if there's a question of one MSR, you kind of get a clarity that this might be solved from one tab only. So you need to be smart about it. As soon as you can solve the first question, you can save the time in that first question and then move towards next couple of questions and then read the rest of the remaining tabs as well. This kind of saves a lot of time. And apart from that, MSR, there is a luck part as well. Sometimes you get a 3 tabbed MSR question, sometimes you get a 2 tabbed MSR question. So that is something that depends. That's, I would consider, an exam day factor. But apart from that, if you have a structured approach, if you are doing 70 to 80% of questions in this way, you can get most of them correct. And you have to play on your strengths as well, because if there is something like too lengthy of a conversational MSR, so that was something that I was getting more of incorrect questions towards. So I would have taken a light approach towards it. I would have not spent too much time on it and moved towards the next question. So, but luckily I got some the MSI question which I was strength like I had my strengths in. I got all of them correct in my exam.
Understood. Understood. Let's speak about the mocks. How close do you think were e-GMAT mocks to the official mocks? Because I saw you had taken 2 mocks, or rather 4 mocks. There was a 675, there was a 665, there was 1715, and there was a 655. And your final
Yeah.
score was 665. Apart from 1 mock where you scored a 715, 3 mocks ranged your scores in the similar kind of a range where you actually ended up scoring. So how close were those Sigma X mocks from e-GMAT, and how did those help you understand your mistakes and where to improve? Because they also have good data analytics there.
Yeah. So, like, it's a funny, like, there's a funny story there. So, I find the Sigma X mocks from the e-GMAT more closer than the official mocks. Like, because in the official marks, official MBA.com mocks, I consistently scored around 715, 725, 735 as well in one of the mocks. But in the e-GMAT mocks, so I was not getting that much score. I was finding them tougher. So in the real exam day also, I faced the similar level of difficulty in the DI section, and I got whatever score I did. So I think the E Sigma mocks are much more inclined towards the real GMAT scenarios. They are you might face them like they are a little bit tougher than the official mocks, but that's how the actual GMAT exam is. You can't take it lightly that it would be as easier or something. So EMAT mocks, there may be something sometimes that a section, one of the section is a little bit on easier side, some one of the section is on the difficult side, but that can happen with anyone. So, but as you said, my marks as well. So that is the complete representation of how I scored my in my real exam, and I do find them very very accurate and precise towards what the real day exam is.
Understood. And as I was saying, there's a lot of data points there in every mock that even the official mocks don't have. For example, your accuracy on medium questions, medium hard questions, uh, time spent on every question, plus the median time, of for every
Yeah,
question. How does
yeah, yeah.
these data points really help you try to get better in your next mock?
Yeah, so as it did in the Scholarinium mock test as well, or any of the sectional mocks as well. So that is something I like discussed earlier as well. So this is a huge indicator for you to get motivated to get better in your next exam. So it kind of tells me that these are the sections I'm lacking in. These are so sometimes it did happen that I was getting hard questions correct, but I wasn't getting medium questions correct because for whatever reason. So that kind of guided me that I don't have to spend too much time just on focusing. If this question seems very hard to me, I have to spend a lot of time here. So now that I've did it that in a similar time frame, I'm getting hard questions correct as well. I need to stipulate my time to all other medium questions as well. Because once you start practicing on the GMAT portal, you kind of get a hang of it, which questions might be medium, which questions might be hard. Because after practicing 500 or 600 questions, you do get a hang of it. So that detailed analytics where the e-GMAT portal did tell me about these are the questions I got incorrect in my first mock, and this was the so after I giving one mock, I started practicing on the Scholarinium or the Neuron. I worked upon that, and came back and gave my next mock. So I kind of gave a better performances there. So every time, every data point that GMAT gave me, I tried to work upon it, and most of the times I was able to overcome my past poor performance and come up with a better one.
Understood. Understood. Yeah. I think you've shared a lot of things that you could from your journey, and I'm really thankful to you for that. So Madhav, with this, we come to the
Yeah,
end of our interview. Right. I once again thank you from all of the e-GMAT team for taking the time, and congratulations for scoring a 665, and best wishes for your applications in near future. So thank
yeah,
you so
thank
much, and please keep us posted.
yeah, definitely.
Thank you.